Salvation Army wants white donors to offer sincere apology for their racism. We are living in a critical race theory world, and I am an oppressor. This is Wretched Radio, the critical race theory worldview. It seems to be the most popular, trendy worldview that is making its way through every level of our society. You and I are seeing it everywhere, including inside of Christian organizations. I hold in my never-before nicotine-stained fingers a slew of recent stories, and they should have all had the same headline. This is the result of critical race theory. Don't know if you remember this, but 4 years ago, something like that, when critical race theory was first beginning to show itself in its full form, and by the way, not just in its full form, but in better shape than it ever was, because the worldview started out kind of flabby, and it wasn't working. It wasn't gaining as much traction as CRT theorists wanted. So what did they do? They refined it. They exercised it. They trimmed off the fat. And now it is a lean, mean, horrible worldview machine, and it has made its way even into the church. I grant you, the Salvation Army has put out a denial statement, and yet it appears that almost everybody is confirming Salvation Army wants white donors to offer sincere apology for their racism. That's from was that Gateway Pundit? Yep, that was Gateway Pundit, but I think it was Ben Shapiro's organization that first broke the story. The Salvation Army's Alexandria-based leadership has created an international social justice commission, which has developed and released a resource to educate its white donors, volunteers, and employees. It's called Let's Talk About Racism. That, by the way, is one of the weapons of critical race theory: stories, conversation. You've got to hear the story, because the anecdote, no reason to believe it's not true, supports critical race theory. There's no other explanation for why that happened. It had to be because somebody was an oppressor oppressing the person. And so when you hear enough of those stories, you start to be persuaded. Maybe that is the way our society is structured, that we've got an oppressor and an oppressed people group. Salvation Army apparently thinks so too. It asserts, gulp, Christianity is institutionally racist, calling for white Christians to repent and offer a sincere apology to blacks for being antagonistic to black people or the culture, values, and interests of the black community. That's CRT. Simple as that. That is CRT. What was once an academic theory is now being used as a training manual at the Salvation Army. How long will the Salvation Army stay intact? I would once again ask. I don't know that it's going to be too long. Do you? How can an organization stay together when they have invited something that is divisive by structure and nature? I don't think that it can. I wonder about the Gospel Coalition. When is it going to just go? I looked at the board of directors of the Gospel Coalition, and you have got guys who are against critical race theories, and you've got guys that are to varying degrees for it and very for it. They can't get along. They just can't. Because as critical race theory becomes increasingly aggressive inside of the church, you just can't have people who are opposed to this Marxist ideology coexisting with somebody who does. It doesn't work. And that's intentional, because that's what critical race theory is. Many have come to believe that we live in a post-racial society, but racism is very real for our brothers and sisters who are refused jobs and housing, denied basic rights, and brutalized and oppressed simply because of the color of their skin. That's from a lesson at the Salvation Army. Sad that this needs to be injected. But if there is any sort of oppression, if there are any redlining laws that still exist, I'm not aware of any, but if they're there, would you not join me in decrying them and saying they got to go? There is not a born-again Christian who would go, yes, let's just keep oppressing people. Let's have laws that make it difficult for those guys to advance. There is not a born-again Christian who feels that way. And if there is, they need to do some repenting. Somebody who is ongoing racist, and I mean racist, not they don't know they're racist, but they are, even though they don't express it. I'm not talking about critical race theory kind of racism. I'm talking about somebody who really does believe that there is a particular people group, their own, that is superior to another people group, not their own. That ongoing sin should be dealt with, just like ongoing adultery, ongoing pornography. This should be church discipline business. That is the attitude of the genuine Christian. And so this lesson from Salvation Army is saying that all of these things still exist. There is an urgent need for Christians to evaluate racist attitudes and practices in light of our faith and to live faithfully in today's world. Guess what? I can live with that sentence. It's the sentence that preceded it that's the problem. Of course we should look inside of ourselves to see if we have any racist attitudes. Are you not willing to do that? We all are. We don't want to. That's just not loving. It's pride-filled. It's blasphemous because it's an assault against God's beautiful design in variety. Racism is a terrible sin, and I don't know of a Christian who isn't willing to do this. Salvation Army seems to think we need to start teaching this to all of our people because white donors need to offer a sincere apology for their racism. Whew. One wonders how that's going to do for their bell-ringing efforts this Christmas. Story number 2, the Kyle Rittenhouse response. The young man was found not guilty on 5 charges brought against him for a shooting that took place. Yeah, I'm getting my Wisconsin towns confused. Waukesha, that's where the, what are they calling that? It's not a guy who drove a speeding vehicle through a crowd of people. I think they're calling it vehicle violence, something like that. Like gun violence, because it's not people who kill people. It's the gun that kills people. I think the good news out of this, and at least the world is being consistent, apparently in Waukesha, they have petitioned Madison, which is the capital of Wisconsin, to pass some stricter SUV laws. Make sure that truck violence doesn't continue happening. Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty, and the world, many people, not all, many people thought, okay, that appears to have been justice. A lot of people are going, nope, that's just another demonstration of a white system designed to protect white people. Where does that response come from? Critical race theory. Catholic University painting, specifically the Catholic University of America, has put up a painting, I think in their law school. If you've ever been to the Vatican, you have seen perhaps what I believe to be the most gorgeous sculpture on the planet. I think it far surpasses the David statue, which I think is totally inappropriate and very Platonic in its presentation of the naked king of Israel. The Pietà in the Vatican, you walk in, room to the right is this glorious, this marble statue of Mary holding the dead body of Jesus Christ. Now, we know that it's very Roman Catholic in its inclination, but you can't help but marvel at the beauty of it. The Catholic University did a painting, but it wasn't Jesus in the arms of Mary. It was George Floyd.
There's two paintings.
Two of them.
One in the law school, as you said, the other in the churches or the university's church ministry office.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Let's put it in the church ministry office.
Yes.
Now, the university is saying, no, that's not what it is. Unfortunately, when asked whether the painting is of George Floyd or Jesus Christ, the artist has replied, yes. This Floyd called out for his mother in a viral video that showed him die under a police officer's knee. And so she swapped Jesus for George Floyd. The university, this is just rich. The vice president of communications responded. The icon Mama is a Pieta depicting Mary and her son Jesus Christ. The statement continued, these are those who would like to see George Floyd as the male figure in the icon. That is not how we read it. Well, doesn't matter how you read it. That's what the artist intended. Why was it painted and why is it placed in two locations in a Catholic university? Thank you. Thank you. Critical race theory. This is Wretched Radio. What you're watching is a snippet. If you would like to watch the entire episode, just visit wretched.org. Houston, I think we have a few problems here.
Go ahead, Wretched One.
Besides the fact I'm wearing a cardboard helmet, Houston, you have got one of the biggest false teachers in the universe. Are you kidding? He is so rich.
How rich is he, Wretched One?
I can see his house from here.